My sister. I'm the only one left.
We don't want to have to one nursing.
I don't want to.
That's like, I understand. They even
I
lost
take
the
care of myself until I go. That's what I want.
Well, it is what it is on that stage, you know.
Running around today. Cornerstone killed a bunch of eggs for me.
Good. All
I
right.
gotta hit up McDonald's in the morning and Taco Bell.
I'm glad I do. I was thinking more about.
Manager will be there.
Call to order a regular council meeting on this Monday, March 25th, 2024 at 5:30 p.m. So we stand for the pledge of allegiance, our flag, and Councilman Miller, would you lead us, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Get a roll call, city clerk.
Counselor Baber,
Here.
Counselor Miller,
Here.
Counselor Lacewell, here, Counselor Proctor.
Here.
There you have a form.
I would request considering approval of the agenda.
Mayor, before we approve the agenda, I move that we remove letter C under new business off of the agenda.
Before you do that, we need to remove item A under new business. Councilors, item A under new business.
New business?
Again, that would be
The sewer line?
item A,
Is that the sewer line there?
new business.
The business A? All right, well, I move that we remove letter A under new business and letter C under new business. You have a second?
Second.
Counselor Miller,
Aye.
Counselor Proctor,
Aye.
Counselor Baber,
Aye.
Counselor Lacewell.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Request approval of the consent agenda.
Mayor, may I move that we approve the agenda?
I thought we just
We
did.
just took some things off the agenda, but now. that
Okay,
we're off-
yeah, well, we want to do that.
All right, I move that we approve the agenda, having deducted the two items we had.
We have a second then? I think we did.
Baber seconded and then we did roll call.
Okay,
There was approval of the agenda with the removal of item A and B
Okay, thank you.
under new business.
next item on the agenda is public input.
Oh, A and C, sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah. See, it's not.
do you have any, anyone from the public like to address the governing body? Yes, Bonnie?
Mayor, before we move there, can we go to the consent agenda first? Consent agenda?
I already said that.
You skipped consent agenda. We were doing approval.
Well,
of agenda. I got confused with it.
I think I'm really confused because they tell me that it's spring and it just feels like winter. I can't get it together. Okay,
Approval of a consent agenda.
for the consent agenda.
I move that we move a couple of the minutes over into the agenda. So I move that we move December 11 minutes and February 26 minutes into the agenda. And having done that, I would like to make a motion to approve. the consent agenda.
Got a second?
I'll second that.
And a second.
What were the two again? Jer-
February 26 and December 11.
Counselor Baber,
Yes.
Counselor Proctor,
Aye.
Counselor Miller,
Aye.
Counselor Lacewell.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Okay, public input. Anyone from the public want to address the governing body? Bonnie? Would you state your name in case, we don't really know who you are?
My name is Bonnie Richardson. I'm a longtime resident of Ruidoso Downs. Mayor and council. Being a lifetime small business owner, I would like to share my own comments concerning the RV park issue before you. The questions which come to mind, if this were your property, what else could you put on this C2 zoning that would make your neighbor happy? Perhaps a dollar store back off the highway. Perhaps a used car lot back off the highway. Perhaps a restaurant back off the highway. All are allowed in C2 zones, but what about the constant traffic on that easement for any of these businesses? Would any of those make your neighbor happy? Probably not. Which brings up an important question. Are these current property owners going to be allowed to develop and use their land, which was C2 zoned 20 years ago? To use a popular real estate phrase, highest and best use, would an RV park be one such use at this time for this property? Would this small business benefit this community at this time by providing much needed housing for not only the tourists, but also those working jobs to accommodate those tourists? Would our neighboring community, Ruidoso, at this time welcome these benefits to their economy? Also, I wondered if the Downs newly formed Economic Development Board was given opportunity to have input on tonight's decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Bonnie. Appreciate it. Anyone else want to address the governing body? Okay, next on the agenda is councilors' comments. Councilor
Thank you.
Lakeswell.
I move that my comments be put in the minutes verbatim.
Second that.
Counselor Miller,
Aye.
Counselor Parker,
Aye.
Counselor Baber,
Aye.
Counselor Latham,
Aye.
motion carried.
The citizens of Ruidoso Downs, thank you for being here today. Here's a summary of the most important issues we've dealt with this year. On January 8, 2024, this city council did not confirm 4 individuals working for the city who are being paid by the citizens of Ruidoso Downs. In effect, those 4 individuals were fired. Collectively, you are paying $26,000 a month in wages just for these 4 people. Wow. If we were paying the appropriate employees and appointed officials, it would reduce that wasted amount of money down to nearly $10,000 a month. The mayor intentionally failed to comply with the laws of New Mexico when he failed to present 4 names to replace those 4 people at the January 22nd city council meeting. New Mexico State Statute 311(5)(a) says in part, if the governing body fails to confirm any person as an appointed official or employee of the municipality, the mayor at the next regular meeting of the governing body shall submit the name of another person to fill the appointed office or to be employed by the municipality. By knowingly and willfully breaking this law, he is costing the city of Ruidoso Downs nearly $10,000 a month. And this is the 3rd month of this premeditated and willful noncompliance. That's about $30,000. New Mexico Statute 311(4) says that the mayor is the chief executive officer and he shall perform other duties compatible with his office, which the governing body requires. The governing body has directed and we require Mayor Holman to obey New Mexico Statute 311(5), yet he refuses to do it. Now he's breaking more than 2 state laws. In the New Mexico Constitution, Article 3, number 1, it says, the powers of the government of this state are divided into 3 distinct departments, legislative, executive, and judicial, and no person or collection of persons charged with the exercise of powers properly belonging to one of these departments shall exercise any powers properly belonging to the others. With total agenda control, this mayor can determine what is on the agenda, and he's the only one who gets to do that. The mayor's status as presiding officer does not confer any power to determine the rules of procedure, which the state of New Mexico statute says the city council shall determine. Mayor Holman has usurped the position of the legislative branch with total agenda control, causing conflict and dysfunction, which is a threat to local democracy and civil discussion. The legislative powers of the city council are extremely diminished by the improper legislative control of this mayor and his executive branch over the city council. Last year, a mediator was sent here by the New Mexico State Municipal League to educate the executive branch on how to conduct itself and cease attempting to control the judicial branch. That expensive and competent mediator made very little headway into the problem because this mayor decided that the findings and remedies given were only suggestions. He was also told to let the judge on the agenda when she asked to be on the agenda, but he's refused to let her on the agenda for over 13 months. She has to show up as a citizen during citizens' comments in order to address the governing body. Now this executive branch is assuming powers of the legislative branch. This mayor refuses to let the governing body put anything on the agenda, as demonstrated in nearly a dozen denied requests to be on the agenda, and all just for this year. Mayor Holman is breaking state laws, local laws, and even personnel policies, appearing as if he believes he's above the laws and regulations established for you and me and the rest of society.
Any other councilors want to comment?
I'm
Information.
on the lighter side. I've got an Easter egg hunt, or our committee does, Parks and Rec and Beautification Committee presents the Easter egg hunt. It's a litter free event because we're part of beautification. And it's gonna be Saturday, March 30th at 10 o'clock at Riverside Park. And we've got some special sponsors this year. 2 of them helped us out last year with filling the eggs with coupons. And I picked up some today from Cornerstone. In the morning, McDonald's and Taco Bell are both giving us some coupons to put in the eggs. And we've got some special events if it goes through too. The Army National Guard is talking about coming over and doing a obstacle course, I guess. Yeah, drug prevention, yes. That's what they'll demonstrate to our children, which is great. And then another lady that has a beauty shop here in town, Martha Reyes, is gonna lend us a jumping thing. What are they called? I guess a jumping room that kids can get in there and jump in.
Bouncy house?
Bounce house, you're right. It's been a long time since I had little kids, but the bounce house, and the only thing we need to do is find out how we can legally have that stuff. And I've talked to John about that, so I'm sure he's gonna help us out. But if anybody wants some brochures for the Easter egg hunt, they're right here. And I appreciate everybody that's helping. It seems like all of our events are getting better and better every year. So thank you, all you volunteers and our committee, Super, and Joey too. He stands right behind us, helping us all through everything. So our events are growing and hopefully our population is. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Any other councilors? Okay. Councilors, I might, I'm not gonna go very far with this, on this at all, but, Councilor Lacewell seldom knows what she's talking about. She, has a tendency to be wrong a lot. I checked with the municipal leagues. Their opinion of our counselor is not very much. Hence, the problem you got into with when I'm responding negatively to you. I hate that. But she's known as a crazy lady in Santa Fe, and also known as the mayor. And they're not saying that complimentary when they called her the mayor up in Santa Fe. Just want to let you know there's a lot more. And I checked with the municipal league on nearly everything and the attorneys. Just want to let you know, counselor is not a problem. You're the problem. Okay, let's go with monthly reports.
Mr. Mayor, Mary's on the phone, if you can call on her first.
Okay, Mary. Are you there?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'm here. Before you is, the February, financials. Does any counselors have any questions?
Are they in the minutes? I mean, are they in our packet?
Yes, they are.
No, it doesn't have anything. Finance report.
Mayor,
Yes, Counselor.
Mary, that's
Yes.
what we begin to work on April 1st.
I'm sorry, what was your question again about April first?
We begin a workshop on the budget April 1st, and then again
Yes, ma'am.
April 4th. I got the two
Yes, ma'am.
letters here, and the other thing was our, that you had in the budget in our agenda. That was our accounts, that was our accounts payable, wasn't it?
Yes, it's in your packet
Yeah,
now.
I looked through it. Is that what you're
Okay.
asking about?
Yes,
Okay.
I just want to know if you have questions on the financials.
Not right now, I don't.
Okay. Anyone else?
No one else.
Thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor and Council.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Joey, you want to get it over?
Mayor, members of council, Public Works report for February. The East to West project was staged to begin March 18th, which they did start. Construction is going on East to West Circle. We, at the Parks Department, we moved the beautification shed and awarded a contract to do the paving at All American Park. So we're moving forward with that. We're gonna tear down the old, used to be the dog kennel, which was the Parks building, and we have a new building. It's gonna be placed in its place, a larger building so they can house their mowers and whatnot inside, not outside, where it gets vandalized. We met with Desert West and got some pricing on micro sealing for a TPF project we have coming up. I went to a Serpo meeting. This is not February, but I went to a Serpo meeting last week. Fortunately, I got volunteered to be the vice chairman for Serpo for the southern part of the state, so yay. That helps us get more money, so I'll be part of that.
That was a good move on their part.
I tried
Yes.
to get out of it. I don't like
I know.
speaking. Grants, Public Works currently has $6,098,000 in grants already been awarded, currently working on. We're gonna do some TPF and some NMDOT grants this year. We're gonna back off on the, we're gonna back off on some Colonias and Water Trust Board because they require 10% match and 10% loan. We've kind of tapped ourselves out the last couple of years with these big projects like Agua Fria, and so we're gonna have to slow down a little bit on those and catch back up when we have reserves to cover those. But I will still do the TPF, the recreation, and the MAP and co-op grants, which we just submitted 2 applications for MAP this year. One of them is Harris Lane, and the other one will be part of the Heights subdivision. With the cost of projects now, and we asked for last year, the cost have doubled so much that we couldn't afford to pave it, so I'm having to apply for a second grant to come in to cover us to pave those projects. And by department, maintenance department had 5 work orders last month. They were tied in with the, they worked on a VFD project that really tied well. The VFD project is going to allow us to use the amount of water rights that we're allowed to. Currently, we have about 353 gallons a minute we can produce. We have more water rights than that, but we're stuck to that amount for a supplemental agreement. And so our Riverside well is capable of 2,000, but I can't pump 2,000 because I gotta be at 353. So we put a variable drive system in that will allow us to, whatever the spring's producing, we can find that area in between, we can adjust that pump and follow the spring. Keep us at our max production. So they got that tied in last month. We listed some vehicles and stuff with Gov Deals. We have been working with TDS for months, 2 months now, trying to get our phone lines fixed in the city. Museum fire suppression system goes off about every 2 hours. This TDS's phone line continues to drop. They claim they have a problem and they know about it, but they haven't found it needs to be fixed yet, so they're working on that. The maintenance department also helped with the evidence they helped remodel the PD and install some cameras for the court system. The garage, service PD vehicles, parts, water. They fabricated a new dog cage for the animal control truck. Worked on the starter on a Peterbilt, picked up materials in Corona, metal. Replaced load tarps for our dump trucks. And power washed and attempted to begin fixing our belly dump trailer, which I had Councilor Proctor come look at. It is beyond repair. There's some, the metal is so rotten that the axles are falling out from under it. And we looked at trying to fix it, but then if we try to fix it ourselves, and that's a liability, so I don't think we're gonna fix that. I think we're gonna have to do something different. The Parks Department, they keep putting up cameras, they keep reviewing footage, trying to find the vandalism, but it ain't working so well because they're either dark or dark clothes and we can't catch them. They destroyed the bathroom again last month. They cut out the walkway at All American Park, the 2 sinking spots, and prepped it for a hot mix, which we patched this month. The heaters in the bathroom at the park were ripped off the wall, so we had to replace the heaters. And we moved the beautification shed, the street department. They've just been helping everybody do everything. There's not a whole lot on roads going on currently. We built a pad for the garage for the sewer machine. And they've been helping with getting base course. We just got about 600 tons of base course in the Harris Lane project. Harris Lane is in design and we'll be able to start construction on that in the next month or so. Which will be from Reservoir Drive all the way to Spring Road. Water, wastewater, we've been replacing fire hydrants as we can get them in, about 3 or 4 every 10 to 12 weeks. We've replaced a bunch of fire hydrants and some of the ones that were started off as bad are not bad. We've unexposed, I know 14 or 15 that were just fine. They were just a little tight to open, but you can exercise them and fix that. We replaced the lift station pump at East Circle. They assisted coats with the VFD install and placed some bollards around the hydrant on the highway. They did 33 work orders, 12 locates, and 1 emergency locate. And for February, we produced 7.5 million gallons of water. We sold 4.6 million gallons of water. We have about a 3.5 million gallon capacity in our tanks, so we're doing okay for now. Any questions?
Kelper, you had a
I
question?
did. When are they gonna start on the parking lot?
It has been awarded. They were supposed to mobilize today and start bringing equipment in, but I had to put them on hold because they have not finished their paperwork for our procurement. So then we got the bids in. I wrote the purchase order, but they've not produced the price agreement signed. We can continue. They're hoping sometime this week they'll have to.
Yes, Counselor.
Well, on that, I just want to confirm, he called me and asked me to look at the belly dump down there. And over the years, the salt eroded, rained. And I advised him not to try to fix it because if they welded on it, or even had a company come in and weld on it, then it snapped into whatever damage would happen from that being that cause, the snapping, we wouldn't be here today. Okay, we wouldn't have a city. So I advise him against that. He told me he'd get a decent belly dump. And without, all the salt in it, he has salt all in it for cheaper fuel prices, that he can get one for a substantial amount with the state.
But I reached out to Mr. Proctor for that, Councilor Proctor, because he drove the truck when he worked in the Downs. He knows a lot about that type of stuff, so I needed more expertise. Normally, we try to fix things, but this is 4x4 metal with a 1/4 inch plate. You stick your finger through it. I mean, it's gone. So I wanted more thoughts on it before we went any farther.
I appreciate him suggesting I'm an expert, but
Well-
I'm looking at it, it's not safe.
Well, you actually jumped ahead of where I was going. I appreciate the fact that you have advised us a couple of times because you have the experience of already working down there many years and as mechanic, I believe, and couple of things you have mentioned to me has been good for the city. And we're fortunate to have the fact that you're not on the city council now, but you've got something, you know what you're talking about.
Well,
I don't care what your wife says. I think you know what you're talking about. No, just easy.
but with Joey and on this sewer deal and stuff, I know I was speaking with you before about it, and you said that some of the language in there that you wasn't really happy with. I don't want you to go into detail. That's for you to take care of. I know that. But you think it'll be, is this something that's urgent that we're going to get a grant for? Or if we're going to be out of pocket?
No, so this agreement was already kind of sort of done before, back 15 years ago, 10 years ago. But it was a 50-50 on the maintenance of the line. And this line is failing under the highway. It's not failed yet, but eventually it's gonna have to be replaced and it's gonna be very costly. So I went to the village and said, hey, you know, this is a joint between us. It should be part of the JUT like everything else. And be a 75, 25, 85 split. That's where we're trying to get approved. But some of the language in there I wasn't comfortable with, and I wanted John to review. That's why we pulled it off the agenda.
Okay.
There's another expert.
He likes to play with words.
As long as we're doing this type thing, I would certainly like to compliment, it's appreciated. Counselor Baber, I have noticed more than once, and it went unnoticed pretty much. But when we're getting ready to spend considerable amount of money, he's pretty quiet about it, but he wants to know how much is it going to cost? And where are we going to get the money? I've appreciated that kind of stuff since I was on the council many years ago. So that's a good thing you're doing. Keep it up, because it is nice to know about spending city money. Too often when I was on the city council years ago, I can remember councilors have a tendency to not have any problem spending somebody else's money. So we have to kind of watch that. And thank you.
Thank you.
And Councilor Miller, thank you for serving the city for a long, long time. You've hung in there and you've done a good job. Thank you.
I like this place.
Well, this place pretty much likes you. Okay, police department, it'll get your monthly report.
Good afternoon, Mayor, members of council. I didn't have a chance to submit it to your packets today, but it was actually kind of a little bit of a slow month as far as police calls for service. We had 271 calls for service total in the month of February, which equals to about 9.6 per day, given the shortened month. In February, we had a total of 8 arrests, Becker was the top producer with 5 of those 8. And as far as citations go, we had 86 total issued citations. And again, Becker was the top producer on the citations with 45 of those 86. Not being cold as it was, it's just doesn't get real busy in February. So I stand for any questions.
Question here.
Yes, sir.
On the tickets, is there any of those tickets in the residential areas, the arteries that run off of 70, or are they all off of 70?
The majority are off of Highway 70, but there are a few that happen in the residential areas. Sometimes there's parking warnings that are given, things like that. Some people run a stop sign here and there. But most of your tickets are written on the Highway 70 corridor, just trying to slow people down coming through.
I know you're short-handed. I was just asking that. Maybe we could get it put out or put on the board in the residential areas. If the speed limit's not posted, it's automatically 25 miles an hour. And if you get on some of those hills coming down, the Polo Hill, or Griffith Road, it's a drag strip. And I had someone tell me, I don't quite, I think it might have been my wife. She's a lot smarter than I am. But she had told me that somebody was complaining about speed limits, and they got them vested, put it on, got them hair dryer, and they step out behind the bushes. You could talk about people putting the brakes on. They slow everything down. So I'm not gonna do that because I thought it was a hair dryer. So, but I just, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Chief, I appreciate it.
And if I might, Counselor Proctor, Chief, I would like to see the police department spending more time in the neighborhoods. You guys would think about that, because nearly all of it, it always ends up that way. We request more of a high profile in the neighborhoods, but with every administration we've had, as time goes by, it just end up on Highway 70. So I appreciate what you brought up, because I've been intending to maybe mention it to y'all. You consider that.
Highway 70 and Walmart is where we spend the majority of our time. Stealing from Walmart or traffic issues on Highway 70 is the biggest crux.
Well, and you need to be down. I know there's a lot of time spent on that highway, but my goodness, they come from West Texas or even El Paso, but coming this way particularly, it's don't slow down for real. The traffic lights always help, but they come through the middle of town just in incredible speed. I've talked to police chief a couple of times, and he will mention how fast they're going. He pulls them over, and it's unbelievable how many miles over the speed limit they're going. You think, oh, well, so they're going 8 miles or 5 miles. It's just,
They average about 65 to 75. Usually I hate to say, but the Texans coming in or out are the speeders, and they're the ones that are driving the fastest coming in. And we always catch them going 65 to 75, especially on the east end of town.
Counselors, y'all needed to know that too. So, yeah, it's a problem. And our police, they do as good a job as they can. It's spread pretty thin sometimes. So, and it's a very difficult job. It's easy to criticize, but it's harder to, a lot of times, to get things right. Right, Counselor Lacewell? Okay, I guess that's got it.
Thanks, sir.
Planning and zoning. You've been wanting this done. You've been begging me. You love to do this, so
Yes, I do.
now's your chance.
Hello, Mayor, members of council. For the month of February, I've only had 3 building permits, 2 demolition permits, and 2 replats. No cases or anything like that. Any questions?
Yes, Council Proctor.
Since Agua Fria subdivision estates was brought into the city back in 2004, I do believe, is, when you look at the zonings, do you have a chance to look at what the restrictions are for Agua Fria?
What do you
The
mean?
restrictions like on, for fences, porches, decks, stuff like that. Do you, if it's in Agua Fria, do you double check that to be sure that it either coincides or exceeds what the city's, zoning laws are?
Let me address that, Counselor. The only thing that the city can do is address its own ordinances. The Agua Fria restricted covenants are Agua Fria restricted covenants that are enforced by the owners of the lots in Agua Fria. The city has no responsibility for those, nor would it be something that we could enforce.
Okay. I put this, I've researched it in Yale University, Harvard University, about 3 others have stated that more likely than not in a covenant, conditions and restrictions, which you have to have before you have an HOA. We do not have an HOA in Agua Fria. It's not a HOA. No one pays into it. Ever since the Davises have passed away, there has been no kind of committees over there. And all I was asking, let me finish about the Yale and Harvard and on that is that anytime the covenant is more restrictive than what the city's is, the city's more apt to prevail and let the covenant take over. And if that the city would go along with that covenant. I wasn't asking her to deny or anything like that, just to look at it to see if what that is, because she has a copy of what that covenant over there is. Someday in the near future, I want to ask that we adopt those restrictions into the city here so that they coincide. And it's not fair that you can have something here and you put it up, but over there, the restrictions are strong. And you put that in, they say, well, the city said I can put it up, then we're in the city now. But you can't do it. So what we've done, Mr. Nightmark has asked of me is to anytime that I find out about that, I want to make sure when they build a new home over there, provide the contractor, give them a copy of the covenant. I'll burn a bunch of the covenants off. I've given the director of P and Z a copy of that covenant. It's pretty simple. It's not a big, long, drawn out one. There is wiggle room. He's not so strict on it, but I would like to see someday that be adopted into to where if a permit's given, that it would coincide with the restrictions they have over there. Because we didn't ask to be brought into the city. We were getting everything we needed. I'm not disappointed we were brought into the city. The way it was done is what disappointed me. We were lied to. Okay, and a thief and a liar don't fit in my word.
Who lied to you?
John Waters.
And that was done by the boards commission. A lot of people think the city did that. It was out of Santa Fe. They statewide do those kind of things. But they were requested to come down by John Waters. They were supposed to be neutral. I'm not gonna make a statement on
Roll
that.
rock and it bounces off a tree and you're trying to hit a bird and it breaks the window in the house. You're still responsible for it.
So, Counselor-
Unintended consequences. So, all I'm saying, Counselor Proctor, is that I have no objection for her to review those, but we can't enforce them until they're made part of our ordinance.
I didn't use the word enforcement nowhere in my, when I asked her. I just asked her if she could just check them out. And if she had, she'd come up on it. Got what's coming in over there, do this, which says it can't. Then I can go to it if they don't have a copy of it. My copy, it's all taken care of. Because what we're gonna do is find this you know, I won't use that terminology. I'll just leave it alone. Thank you, Mayor.
Well, thank you for your observation and, yeah, there's quite a history, behind that. And since this, was brought up for the council to start thinking about, another thing, I had, somebody, contact me not too long ago. Since we're talking about the Agua Fria area. He has, as I recall, 7 acres over there. And he wants to donate that, no charge, to the city. And so I need to get with, just as Counselor has, wants to start us thinking about that. Counselors, if you would think about accepting that 7 acres. It's always good on the economic development to have more parks. It's nearly always good for the community. And don't have one on that side of town. So we can, I'll get with the city attorney. We need to really look at it and I've mentioned this to Councilor Proctor because he's familiar with that area. He has quite a history with that 7 acres over there also. And we want to be sure that there's not anything that we don't know about, that we get all of that. As far as I know, there's not anything. Councilor Proctor is not aware of anything. He did cover that area at one time. So that would be my understanding since it was filled dirt and it has some, I learned that from the counselor. We're not going to be able to put a building on it. I assume restrooms would be fine. But here's a chance to get 7 acres to put a park there, and it's in a real nice area, would serve the entire city. So I have mentioned that to the P and Z director also. Yes, Councilor.
Your permission, Mayor, I'd like to get with Joey, and he's familiar with that area over there to some degree too. That to find out where it'd be most advantageous to put anything or do anything and what the cost might be. If we could even get a grant for parts from the state. Possibly. This is not something that's gonna happen in the next 2 or 3 years. We're gonna start looking at something. Sewer lines, water lines, we have sewer lines going over the top of water lines. That's
It would all have to be jerked out and redone.
so would that be expensive to the city for us to go in?
Not to get it out, just labor to get it out. We can run something new from the beginning.
Could we just pull the sewer lines and leave the water lines? With your permission, I'd just like to get Joy in spearhead that a little bit with him, go over it, you know, it might be middle of summer.
Would appreciate if you'd take time to do that.
Yeah.
I have the guy's phone number, know who he is. He definitely wants to no charge, just give it as a donation to the city. And we can check to be sure there's not any negative things that might be involved. There doesn't seem to be at all. So that's 2 things we can kind of keep in mind, and maybe we can get this park thing on the agenda pretty soon. I'd like to do that in case he changes his mind and decides not to.
Mayor,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
remember when we put the senior center in the park and took up some of what was supposed to be green space for us. And so I think still we need to add more green space because we took some away from the park. I think that's a great idea. Any tourist town needs the green space.
It would really be a compliment to businesses coming in because they like to locate for their parks and this type of thing for the people they're going to hire.
Area is a long ways from our other 2 places.
It is.
Kids on this side of the road could enjoy it. without having to collect on it.
So we've covered pretty much of it. Counselor Baber, I'm sure he's gonna wanna know how much this is gonna cost and where the money's coming from. Counselor,
I've got a question for Jeanette.
Yeah.
I was looking on your report last month. There's a one next to single wide.
Yeah.
And I thought that, do we not have an ordinance that like says we can't do single wide?
No, we don't.
Okay, and where did that single wide go? Yeah,
Okay, let me get the address.
I caught you off guard, sorry.
It's gonna go to, it went to 306 Reservoir.
Okay. No, that's not the one that's up on Reservoir. There's a half of a mobile home sitting in front of somebody's front yard. Is that the area?
I don't know if it's already there or not, but last time I checked, it hasn't been placed yet.
Okay. Are you familiar with what I'm talking about? A half of a mobile home sitting in somebody's front yard?
No, no.
If
Here
you're,
in Reservoir.
yeah. Counselor Proctor, do you know the address of that place on Reservoir? Oh, okay. I just drove by it and I thought, wow, that's weird. Half of a mobile home. So,
I'll see if I can find it.
Okay.
Going on there.
I'll try to get you the address as well. Thank you.
Any more questions?
yes,
Yeah, I
Counselor.
got one. I was on planning and zoning years ago. But I can remember when a single wide was going out of the lot for some reason, they were supposed to only put in a double wide in place of that single wide. We were trying to get rid of the single wides at that time. What happened to that ordinance, I wonder?
And Counselor, if I may, you and I were both on the city council and I recall what you're talking
Mhm.
about. I'm thinking that if a single wide was to be removed, help me out on this, because that has been so many years ago. It had to be replaced with a double wide. I'm thinking that it could not be, if it was a single wide, it cannot be very many years old, and I don't remember,
Yes, yeah,
I don't remember the X amount of years, like,
I think it was.
Because they were trying to get rid of the single wides.
yes, sir.
And that was an ordinance at that time, so I don't know what happened to that. We were trying to eliminate all the single wides at that time.
Well, I sat down with the planning and zoning board and we couldn't find it.
Yeah, well, it was at one time,
And we do have a ordinance as anything new from 1976.
76.
Yeah.
I thought it was in the 70s. Yeah,
76.
We tried changing that, sorry,
Yes, Joey.
we tried changing that, but the HUD rule says 1976. We have been battling for 4 or 5 years. Me and Usual Chapters trying to get that changed because anything older than like 90 is pretty bad.
it's pretty bad. Yeah.
76 was the HUD rule, is what Tom Armstrong said. We had to abide by.
Well, it's amazing, what we've all seen. That they will drag into this city. Makes you wonder how it held together till they got it here, in the past. Hopefully, we're getting things changed on this. It has been that way so many years. When it was Green Tree, all kinds of things were done here. And it's hard to break those old habits with a lot of people.
Well, Mayor,
Yes, sir.
while we're stepping off the agenda a little bit here.
Yes, sir.
Me and Councilor Weber have gotten his vehicle, my vehicle, and we've driven around. And we see a lot of small campers hooked up to sewer, up to water, and people living in them.
Yeah.
That is a no-no.
Yes, sir.
And so if you need addresses for our CSO, I'll be more than glad to share my book with you.
I think if you could get those to Jeanette, she can get it to the CSO.
That's what I was
Yeah.
saying, but I thought CSO would come up with a police department.
Yes, but Jeanette works for them also.
So
Now, Counselor Proctor, I'm thinking that as far as temporary guests, that, and I don't know the length of time on that, can you help us out no, you can't live in them, hook up and just do that, and that's being done in a few places.
Just simply can't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not,
It was getting.
even somebody's visiting for 3 or 4 days, what's the deal on that? Do you know?
No, I say Spaghetti Flats is full of.
But I'm thinking that maybe our ordinances may allow for a temporary people that do have the travel trailers in their yards.
Not supposed to be hooked up to electricity to keep them from the pipes from freezing. Well, why, if you take care of your high-dog camper, coach home and all that stuff, you're gonna drain them. You drain them, flush them with the air and get all that moisture out. Then
Yes, sir.
you need to plug them into nothing, but you can't be hooked up to water sewer. And I do think they allow you to plug it in, extension cord, whatever, to keep the heat inside of it. That's it.
Okay.
If I'm not gonna go, no, I
Well-
don't think I could ask anybody to go check them to see if somebody's sleeping in it while they're doing board. Visiting or family or something.
Yeah.
But I do know that once a home is built and then there's humanitarian, humanitarian, I'll get it right in a minute.
Okay,
That you can put a small mobile on the lot. And it cannot exceed 50% of the main home that's on the lot. And it has to be, it can be a relative or a friend, as long as you hook up to their system. You can't get a new hookup to sewer, water, or electricity. You have to put in of what's there.
okay.
So that's,
All right, that makes sense. Okay,
When the situation is finished, or they move on, then it dissolves it.
yep,
That's right.
if the individual passes away or something that was living in it, they have to move it. You can't move somebody else in it, or I guess they could if they were sick, but. I don't-
okay. And I think I've heard that before also. In other words, you're talking about grandfathering, I think. You can't just keep grandfathering from one family or generation to the next. Okay, I think that takes care of fire chief.
Mayor and members of council, we didn't have a very busy month, February. We had 31 calls of service. The only other thing we were working on is fire inspections and I've been working on getting the bid done for the new brush truck. Hopefully I'll be presenting that to you guys here in the next meeting. And that's about it. Any questions?
Mayor, I have a question.
Yes,
Where are the defibrillators that we bought?
I'm looking for those.
They're missing?
I didn't say that.
Okay,
I'm-
you just haven't found them.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So you don't know where they're at.
I know where a couple of them are. I don't know where they all are.
will you be able to get them back for us?
I am in the process, yes, with fire marshals.
Do the best you can.
To finding out where they are.
Yeah,
So
So do we have any right now?
we do have defibrillators on our trucks like we're supposed to, but there was 4 purchased that 2 are in question and where they are.
all right. We appreciate that information. Counselor Bateswell.
I was talking about the ones for the buildings.
Yep, those are the ones in question.
Okay, so there's also some in the trucks?
Yes, we are required to carry it in our trucks.
Is it the same kind of a unit?
Same exact unit, yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, the court is here.
Okay, we have representatives from the court. Would you like to make a monthly report?
Okay, Mayor and members of council, these should have already been deposited in your boxes. Because it's required to do that by the beginning of the month. As you know, with the police department being down, with manpower, then that affects the court. It basically tells you how many cases that we heard, how much money was assessed, the fines that were assessed. Somebody have any questions?
I have a question. So, DC, didn't you say there were 80 some citations?
86.
86.
Yes, ma'am.
And so, Judge, do those go directly to you? Those-
Not all of them.
Oh,
So if they are, just like not all cases come to me. If they shoplift more than $250 at Walmart, they have to go to MAD courts. It's up to the officers whether or not they put them into magistrate court. So if there's drugs involved, let's say there's a traffic stop, there's large amounts of drugs or drugs involved, then they cite them into magistrate court. The penalties are much stiffer in magistrate court than they are in municipal court.
Counselor Proctor.
Yes, Judge Flint, on people come into you and you give them community, you give very much in community service.
Some I can.
Okay, what I'm getting at is that we have these elderly people, be it man, be it woman, be it couple, they can't take care of their property.
I can't do it.
They can't give community service.
Slave labor.
I am very, very restricted by the by the statutes and on what I can do with community service. I can do Keep America Beautiful. I can do the Easter egg hunt. I can do the senior center. I can do Parks and Rec, but I cannot do churches and I can't do independent homes. I wish I could. When I ran, that was one of my big things. If I could do anything with community service, that would be what I did.
Well, that's a big thing with me.
But if I have people that have drug problems, I also can't do community service with them because I can't send them to the senior center when they're under the influence.
Thank you.
Yeah, Counselor, I'm thinking one of the many problems on that, if you have that as a community service and it's required by the city that they do that, if they get hurt, they can sue the city, I believe. Am I correct?
Well, the state statute doesn't allow it, period. Just like it
Yeah.
doesn't allow me to send anybody to church. They cannot do community service at any religious,
Yeah, I'm just curious about that, you know, because
yeah.
Welcome to the world of municipalities. It's so different than private
I
businesses.
got one question.
Yes, sir.
You know what mine's gonna be? The 86 citations, so do they all go through you?
No.
No?
So we had,
And if not, how come they don't go through you?
because some of them I can't hear.
Oh,
And so again, if they, go ahead, sure.
Some of them are written warnings that are out of citation. Some of them are cited into magistrate court. Any sites that go to magistrate court obviously go there, not to here. The rest that we cite, that aren't warnings or go to magistrate court, they're either given a penalty, they either agree to a penalty assessment, so they agree to pay the court whatever the fine is for that violation. Or they choose to want to go to court, and then that's when the judge sees them in her court, adjudicates, and then sometimes they're found, they can be found not guilty. Sometimes cases are dismissed, like hypothetically insurance. If they bring in like insurance paper, a letter from their insurance company saying they were insured at the time, then the judge has to dismiss that case so that there's no fines after that. So it just depends on the type of citation written, whether they chose to pay the penalty assessment or whether it was a warning or whether it was or whether it comes to court, they adjudicate it.
And sometimes I get penalty assessments. So let's say that they sign the ticket, they never pay. So then they're summoned into court and then I deal with them at that point. So sometimes I do see them if they forget or just blow it off and don't pay it. Then we summon them.
so out of them 86 tickets, if everybody got a fine, who gets that money?
The city,
Neither department gets it?
no,
No.
goes to the general fund.
Counselor Lacewell.
So Judge Plant, I remember the legislative session a year ago was talking about stopping the corrections fund. When does that happen?
That happens in July of 2024, this year. So effective July 1, we will no longer be charging court costs. But $29 goes away.
And so are we gonna see an adjustment of penalties?
That's up to the police department.
I've actually submitted a new fee schedule with all the appropriate paperwork to the city and to John for their perusal. And when they're satisfied that everything is within the correct parameters, then it'll be brought before you for voting on the new fine schedule.
Do you anticipate that being before July?
I was hoping it was last month, but, it's not a super high priority right now, but yes, I'm praying for July.
Counselor Proctor, you have the floor.
With that assessment of the fines and things, DC, does it have to be approved by the state, or is it just something that you do collectively for the surrounding?
As long as it falls within the parameters of what the municipal league allows, then it's okay. Which all the fines that I suggested, I believe are within those parameters. There's minimums, there's maximums. I'm
Anywhere
fell within the middle. And basically, a lot of our fines are unfortunately extremely low. Like an example, a registration citation is a total right now of $39. Well, $29 of that is court cost. So basically a registration fine is $10. So
It's cheaper to run around with the
I've
license
actually
plate.
increased that to, guessing, I think in the 70s or 80s, I'm not sure. But, I don't remember what I wrote because I wrote it a long time ago, but, it's within the parameters of the municipal league. So as soon as the city attorney and the city make sure everything is copacetic, then they'll put it on the agenda for me to present, for the new fine schedule.
And Judge, you have, how many repeat offenders do you have, regardless of what it's for? Okay. never mind.
I just say it's a bit of
A lot.
I do. I have a lot of the, people that. Yes, a lot. Yes.
Thank you.
Those stick out well in my memory, so, yes.
Repeat offenders, what you're saying. I think it's a lot like being a high school coach, teacher, principal. It's the same ones that used to come to my office, in Rossville. Over and over, you think, my gosh, there's 300 of those kids in trouble. No, it's 30 that are just recycled all the time, always,
We probably have 8 to 10.
It's usually your transient trespassers that continue to frequent the places that they're not allowed to be, or shoplifters at Walmart. Those are huge repeats, huge repeaters.
But I try really hard not to defer a lot and to uphold the ordinances so that people really don't want to come back and see me is my goal. I don't want them to come back, but it is very hard with transient people because they go back to Mescalero and they hide. And so they don't pay, there's no, I mean, I can penalize them, but until they come back and get caught again, it is what it is.
it is what it is.
It
As
is.
you get older, you're
Yes, sir.
concerned.
Anybody else?
Okay,
Right.
thank you, Judge. Yeah, I think that does complete, our monthly reports. Next item on the agenda is the public hearing, under A is the adoption of resolution 2024-03. Resolution of the city of Redosa Downs of, adopting the 2023 Lincoln County Multi-Jurisdictional Hazard Mitigation Plan update. And that would be our,
Hazardous mitigation plan.
yeah, John, can you help me out on this? And I noticed that was a, public hearing.
What happened with the committee?
We decided not to have a committee, and we was gonna get them, call Wendy and see what was happening. And, everything's been approved in this book. Every other county's approved it. This is the only one that hasn't.
Right.
And in order to make them changes, you gotta do it on the next riff. Because if you do it now, then that's gotta go back to
Everybody else, that's-
FEMA, you know, the other one,
Federal government.
Homeland Security. And then it would have to be passed through everybody else again. So they said the best thing to do is pass this. If you want to make changes, put them in the next one.
Okay, yeah, I remember you got railroaded. I mean, you volunteered to do that for me.
But that,
Thank you.
So I
for
think,
doing-
I think
No
that's- that accurately brings it up to speed for me, so as far as I'm concerned, we're ready for a motion.
You don't want to open it up to the public?
Do you want to have a public hearing? Sure,
That's what they requested for it, but that's.
I apologize.
did we not have it at the
Counselor?
workshop?
On that there,
Yeah, you can't- you
Mr.
can't
Lacewell used to work
can't really
for
do
the, the government department he worked for.
BLM.
BLM, and he was familiar with a lot of the stuff. So I let him review the one that I had of the two, now three that I've got. But anyway, he went in and he found a lot of areas that needed to be added to it. So what I would like to suggest is that we can auxiliary that just into our safety program, have it written up, have it implemented. Then when this HMP comes around again, we can put that in it and we'll be covered all the way around.
Do you like to make a motion for the council to do that?
Yep.
Do we have anybody from the public that wants to address this issue?
Yes, Bonnie,
May I speak from here?
you sure may.
Just say your name again. for the record.
Bonnie Richardson. I have a recent mail from Ruidoso, the village of Ruidoso to Ruidoso landowners, and it says fuels management standard 42-80. And it has five things on here about fuel management to reduce the dangers of fire. And so I would like for the council to have this to see where at least we're on board with Ruidoso. And what they're saying is that they raised the standards for fuel management in their area, which lowered our homeowners' insurance costs. And boy, we're all for that because we've seen those insurance costs spiral this year.
That's because of all the forest fires on up in northern New Mexico, the ones that we've had here, the ones that in control burn up on the ski run that took that whole area there out. So I know what you're talking about, but it's gonna be a while before the insurance comes.
You know, if fire ever starts that side of Walmart, we're sunk
We don't.
because the wind blows its way.
She, and
I have copies for everybody.
what Bonnie's referring to would be the southwest coming from the direction of the reservation. Yeah, it,
I don't have enough, but you can hand out what I have.
Bonnie, if you would like, I'll get the city clerk. She can run some copies off.
Oh, sorry.
Question.
Yeah. Let's let Bonnie get through first. Ms. Miller,
Yes. Do I need to come forward?
Please.
Beth Miller, resident of Ruidoso Downs for 28 years.
Bless you.
When I read through that, whatever it was, 364 pages or whatever. But what I got out of it is something that you might want to consider. They mandate that you cut certain trees. And there are some people that have feelings about being told what to do on their property because like sometimes a tree will provide shade for afternoon sun, or it may be, you know, you might want to just consider that as you're looking at what you're going to pass or not going to pass. And they actually, in their statements included in this, they say, we will fine them until they become compliant. So you may not wish to become compliant. something to consider.
Counselor Miller.
I asked Wendy that presented it to us, migration plan, and she said that's something your council would have to do. Ruidoso has done that. They make people. My friend Marilyn, when she bought that house, they walked around and marked what trees she needed to get out of there, out of her yard. But that comes from this council. That's not part of the migration plan.
The WUI, the wildland interface,
No, our council right here will have to make that.
if you adopt it though in its totality, then it has that kind, it has, the ability to find people. Just saying, I don't know if you.
Well, she
John,
told
They're not gonna come in
She told me
city
the
to city
opposite.
and be doing that to everybody.
No, they won't. It's a very costly thing. If you have to have three.
They're just trying to tell you, clean up your yard and it won't burn up.
But if they have that capability though, WD, can, I believe, you can, John, what do you think?
I also would go on my, what Wendy told me, and she said unless there's local enforcement, there's no problem.
Yeah.
We would have to enforce that.
Could you make a clause or an amendment?
In 5 years.
Okay.
No, I'm serious. They redo it every 5 years.
And I meant, can you make a clause within this government? Say,
Not unless you take it back to every municipality and county that.
so you have to go by.
Yes.
Yeah,
We
what,
adopt it.
but your local authorities are the ones that's gonna be,
No, they're just suggestions is what they're saying. They want the city to, give them the city the option to adopt. So it's not that they can come in.
Have you read it?
Yes, I've read it. So basically it's just a suggestion that if the city wants to adopt that ordinance, then they can make it an ordinance and then enforce it. Otherwise, it's just a suggestion at that point. There's nothing, there's no enforcement on it or anything in that matter.
they're not gonna come in, cut all them trees down.
No.
No,
But they could fine you is what I'm saying.
no, they're not. They're not.
Our own people. All right, thank you, Joey.
There are a lot of people who do that right now.
Right. Got that right.
Can't make a motion to adopt the.
Just let me make sure we got all our, is there anybody else in the public that wants to?
Bonnie.
I'm sorry, at $1,500 to cut down a tree, this is something that needs a lot of thought. Also, these people that rake up pine needles and branches and pile them outside their yard, we've got to have better garbage pickup.
If they will put them where, I've done,
Yes, sir. It needs to be
I've been
addressed.
at all these meetings and I've got pictures. If people will put that stuff where it's supposed to go, they will be glad to pick it up. But I've got pictures where they've got a red line marked right there, put it there, and you see them put it down there. They're not gonna pick it up like that.
And what happens so often, I'm glad that you've been working on this. They'll stack it too close to a fence. And so that grapple that they have, they're not gonna pick that up if they think that they're gonna damage that fence. And you tell people, not to do that, and most of them don't know. But it doesn't get picked up because it's too close to a fence or something that would cause the green tree solid waste a problem if they damage something. So they just don't pick it up. It needs to be, as the counselor said, it needs to be where it meets their specifications. Or otherwise, they're not gonna pick it up.
And the other good news is Hoss back there got him a brand new grappling truck.
The question is Hoss gonna use it to?
I bet Hoss will find somebody.
Yeah,
Code enforcement can do their part and then get on these people, then I can come behind and clean up the mess.
okay.
You know, I think we can, Jim, got a pretty good plan started. Anybody that is a resident, you call their tree and they will tell you where to put your brush. And they'll actually go out there and mark it on the road what they.
Okay, so I think we've pretty done that, but
Council Pro?
we need it quiet so we can hear what council.
Speak over about anybody in here.
Well, sometimes they not paying attention.
Okay, I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution 2024-3, resolution of City of Rio City County. Accept the multi-jurisdiction hazard mitigation plan update.
I second it.
Counselor
Roll
Miller,
call.
Aye.
Counselor Baker,
Aye.
Counselor Lakeoff,
Aye.
Counselor Parker.
Aye.
Motion carried.
I think that takes us to unfinished business.
Okay, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I'll jump into that real quick. Wasn't sure when I was supposed to jump into it, but on, item B, on unfinished business, I'd like to make an amendment to the way that this reads. And it says pay raise for all police department personnel after this.
Can we do that when we get to
When we
B?
get there.
Okay, so we'll go with A first, and then Counselor, we'll get there. We'll let you address that.
I'm gonna look at this. I'm getting there.
Well,
We take it those items individually, Councilperson.
You're doing just fine. Item A is determination of Sarah Sorensen on behalf of herself, Will Sorensen, Charlie Sorensen, and Mike Sorensen, appeal of the Planning Commission approval of P and Z case 2023-11, approving conditional use to allow for a recreational vehicle park at the property located in a C2 zoning district.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
if I may.
yes, sir.
So, we had, appreciate very much whoever did this verbatim, of the last hearing. So we had our hearing on, what was it, February the 26th, of last month, and the city council, requested that we postpone the decision until today's date, which is fine. You'll probably note in the review and the decision to be rendered today, no sooner than 15 days from the date of public notice, the city council shall hear the appeal, which we did, and render a decision within 45 days. So it can't be postponed for an additional period past 15 days from the day. It has to be done at a regular council meeting. So, in making your decision, the city council shall study the record of the action on appeal. And if it was postponed, the council shall make a decision of the appeal at its next regularly scheduled meeting when it is. And the things that the city council may do is reverse the order. That would be the order of the commission granting the conditional use for the RV park. Decide in favor of the appellant, which in this case would actually be the same thing, and make any change in any order, requirement, or decision or determination of the commission. And the only change, the only change that the condition that the commission put on it was a 5-mile-an-hour speed limit while using that particular easement, and that the easement. So I think it's been debated and discussed and cussed and recussed, and papers have been presented by both the city, the appellant, and the applicant's attorneys. The council has received all of those. I just need to tell you all that what, if we can't make a decision by majority vote, then the decision of the planning commission stands. So the city clerk, on behalf of the city council, shall issue a written notice of his decision to all concerned. So after y'all make this decision, Alejandro will be tasked with writing the decision out. And in this decision, I would request that whoever makes the motion, that in their motion, you state the facts as that the decision has been based on. It says the facts of the matter as determined by the city council, the reasons for its decision, and any conditions applied to the decision. So those are the things that you may make a simple motion and to be supplemented by an additional motion if you prefer, of stating the reasons for the decision and so forth and so on. But I don't, the time for debate has ended. And of course, the decision of this council is subject to appeal to the district court by whoever feels aggrieved by this decision. So it just allows a due process to take place.
So if they don't like our decision, they can just go to court.
That's correct.
Okay.
So do I hear a motion?
I'll make that motion. Should I read all this?
No, the motion that you would make would be either to uphold or overturn the planning commission's decision.
Okay, I make a motion to uphold the planning commission's decision.
So there's no
I'll second
second?
that. Okay, let it die and goes back to the plate. It passes.
Yes, sir.
We have a second. Counselor Faber,
No.
Counselor Lacewell,
Nay.
Counselor Proctor,
Nay.
Counselor Miller.
Aye.
Do we have another motion?
Doesn't seem to be one.
What would the purpose of that be?
That would be to, reverse the order, to deny the order. And I appreciate the fact that the positive motion made, but what I've got to have is I've got to have reasons made of the record for you denying for the decision that you're bringing.
Yeah, okay, I've got that right there.
And we want to be sure and get it right. So we don't have a problem.
Okay, I'll make that motion. Whatever we need to do to satisfy you, to satisfy.
I know this is gonna shock you, but it's not really all about me. So,
So we didn't just kill it just then.
you killed it, but in this, normally, that would
Give a
take care
reason
of it.
why.
But what the ordinance says is that, the city council by majority vote may reverse any order, decide in favor of the appellant, make any change in any order. So as I read that, I was basically you're denying the order that was entered by the planning commission. And so what I'm asking next is for a motion stating the reasons for your denial of that motion, what facts you have to, what you based your decision to deny that, upholding that, planning commission, order on.
Okay, counselors.
I make that motion.
Good evening, Ricky. Okay, and
Your reason,
what motion is,
asking for a reason. Why, counselor?
Okay,
Your reason.
okay, my reason is city statutes 155-08-1. Item 1, general requirements, access minimum area recreational vehicle parks shall abut and have. The word shall is mandatory. And abut and have access from major arterial streets, access. Doesn't say anything anywhere in the other 7 items in this general request or requirements. It says nothing about easements at all. So the reason I'm going that way with it, it takes somebody that's got more savvy than what we have right here to battle this out and speak.
so you're basing it upon,
Our city ordinance right here. I just gave you.
155.08-1 requiring, abut a major arterial.
Yep.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second it.
Counselor Miller,
Okay, we're killing it again, right?
I wrote nay on this one then, right? John?
Yep.
And that's
Counselor
fine.
Proctor,
That's the way you feel?
Yeah.
Aye.
Counselor Lacewell,
Aye.
Counselor Faber.
Aye.
Motion carried.
So Ally, if you will write that up, let me review it tomorrow. We'll send it out to the parties so that they'll know what direction they want to go. All right. Thank you very much, Councilman.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, now Counselor Proctor. We're looking at, under unfinished business, item B, and you wanted to address that.
Yes, I'd like to make an amendment.
Mayor, may I, before you do that, may I make a last ditch pitch for the original?
Counselors, all right?
It's up to the chair.
That'll be fine. We've
We've
got
had a
that.
discussion about whether or not we want to have the motions first and the discussion later, or whichever. Make no difference as long as we get the job done.
So if there's no counselors object, then I'm going to say Go for it.
Okay, I understand the decision that the council came to last time. I did disagree to it to a point. I'd like to reiterate that I would like it voted on as submitted by giving up a position and a half, or actually 2 positions, the CSO position and the police officer position. That way, everybody in my department who's deserving of the mentioned pay raise and paperwork gets their pay raise versus just some. I understand if you do amend it, but I'd be remiss if I didn't ask again to have y'all vote as originally submitted. Doesn't cost any extra money for this. It just costs a couple of positions. The second way of doing it, the amended way of doing it cost me 1 position, a police officer position, leaving a CSO position, obviously. Again, I'd still like to go with the original submission as I submitted it and vote on that. But I will accept the amendment if that's the way it has to go.
Okay, thank you. Counselor Proctor, what we got?
Okay, I stand as last stated, when we discussed this before and brought it in as unfinished business. And he can still keep his 2 positions open, and his other people at a later date can still be put in for a raise. Right today, in this meeting, I want to give the $4 an hour raise to Sergeant Malone, Officer Becker, and Officer Henshaw. I recommend it to read that way.
Plus the 2 other police officer positions that aren't filled.
Right, this is the ones that are not here, okay? on there. So that's what this will carry over into that, just like you had your previous and down here.
Right.
Don't try to slip a CSO to another officer.
No. I'm just saying all police officer line staff from sergeant.
Right. And I think it's probably handier to do it in the way that Robert has recommended rather than by name. Because what you're saying is that those 5 positions are subject to the $4 an hour increase.
True,
Right.
true, when they're hired on, when they get here. But the way it reads right now is all police department personnel, and I wasn't for that.
Right.
If they're qualified.
Yeah, as long as they're qualified.
But I think the words that you used was from what position up?
From basically from post probation police officer to sergeant.
Which consists of 5 positions.
Which consists of 5 positions. If we have to give up the.
If
when
we
have to give up.
lose one of those positions, between now and July or June, okay? Then I don't want it to be stuck to an individual's name, what I'm saying.
We have to lose 1 position.
I get to understand what you're saying, but right now, the only 3 that I'm looking at that's in those positions, those other positions are vacant, so I don't have a name for.
Correct.
So these 3 I'm naming, and I'll name the other ones when he comes back up for
Well,
that.
what if one of those 3 leave and it's done by name rather than position?
Okay, then if that
Then they
one
gotta
person
come back
leaves,
for
that
another
position
raise.
is still vacant, that position vacant, it will still carry what we're going to approve right now.
Okay. With that clarified, I'm good.
Does that sound kosher to you?
Correct. 5 line staff positions from sergeant down.
Okay, but here's what
Okay,
it says.
Counselor,
Pay raise for all police department personnel, and that's what I said.
I understand.
Hold on, okay? And that's, with that being like that.
Okay. All right, hold that thought. Counselor Lacewell.
Thank you, Mayor. So DC, do I understand that the starting pay is going to remain the same for the first year until they reach into their probation?
Correct.
Then it hops up into $4 an hour raise.
Correct. They have to make their probation time.
And what is the likelihood that that's going to be attractive to get a new officer in here?
That's actually kind of normal throughout most police departments, that they understand they're at a lower pay rate until they become certified. And then even later on until they finish their probationary period to get that pay raise.
Okay, so the positions that you have listed here right now, the way they are now, is that for certified or non-certified, or are they already?
Certified police officers currently make 24.06 an hour base. 24.06 an hour. Uncertified makes 22.06 an hour base until he graduates the academy. Then he gets 24.06 an hour. base. And then when he gets to his probation time, provided you guys voted in, he'll jump to 28.06 an hour.
Okay, and so are you gonna start implementing a contract where if you send them to school, then they're obligated?
Yes, ma'am. I will definitely be drawing that up and bringing it before the council for a vote for
Okay.
at least a 3 to 5 year contract, that if they leave before a certain amount of time, that they'll have to pay back training costs and things of that nature.
Now, has that been checked to be sure that's legal?
Legal.
Because when, Councilor Miller and I were on the, many years ago, various times on the city council, this came up and, we wanted to initiate this. And they said, you can't do that.
Many departments actually do that now. It's actually been implemented.
So,
Excuse me, Mayor, if I may.
yes, sir.
What they're talking, what they use contract is not the correct word. Okay, we cannot hold a man here that wants to leave or an employee.
Okay,
But if we pay for a man coming on board, we send him to the police academy and it costs $6,000 and he's on a 4-year commitment that if he leaves 2 years after he's here, he still owes us $3,000 and he has to pay that when we can leave. And it's not a contract, it's an agreement between the police department.
so that was a little different than what we dealt, than what we were doing. It was very similar though. Okay,
And
Right.
because probation, DC.
Yes, sir.
to Start once he graduates the academy or.
Once they're hired.
Once you're hired.
Once you're hired. Usually, once you're hired, you're in the academy within 1 to 2 months, because they usually have, there's two academies I can send to. I can send one to Santa Fe, and they usually have 2 to 3 classes per year. And then there's another one in Hobbs that I can send them to as well, just depending on
Which one do you prefer to send them to?
Santa Fe.
Santa Fe.
It's cheaper.
Yeah.
We gotta have a body first.
Yeah, that's good too. That'll be awesome. Yes. So when their probation starts the day you hire them, so you have them for a month, 2 months.
Mhm.
And you're paying them the $22 to ride around with another officer with whatever you do with them.
Mhm.
And he decides, this is not for me, and he leaves.
Mhm.
You had that happen.
No, I've never had that happen to where they didn't make it before they went to their training. Cause usually most of the time, it's such a short time, you can't really assess that much in that short amount of time. Based on the training they haven't received yet, you can't really hold them to a super high standard, but as long as they're getting it until they get to the academy and start learning, the details of all the laws, then they're subject to whatever happens in the academy. And if they don't make the academy, then tough luck on them, they're gone.
Well, Chief, I'd like to say this to you and to you, DC. I'm not against you, okay? I ran saying that we needed to give our police department pay raise. I understand that. But it's the police officers that we're losing right now.
Mhm.
So after the budget, we get it all cleared, sent and gone in, bring it back for the other people
Yes, sir.
and see what we can do with it there.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
okay, so,
I'll second that motion.
so having said that, can you state your motion so we can vote on it?
Yes, I'll make a motion to adapt the amendment to the 5 positions, 2 which are vacant and 3 positions from Sergeant down.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Counselor Miller,
Aye.
Counselor Baber,
Aye.
Counselor Lacewell,
Aye.
Counselor Proctor,
Aye.
motion carried.
Thank you.
All right, on the agenda, that takes us to, new business. We did, previous,
They took off the minutes for February 26th and December the 11th for discussion. Are we gonna discuss those before
okay,
the items that are new business?
okay, let's discuss.
So Mayor, I'd like to move that we approve the December minutes. And some of the counselors weren't here and didn't feel comfortable with doing that. So I'm just making for the December 11th meeting. I move that we approve those minutes.
Okay. Is that a motion?
That's my motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Counselor Weaver?
No,
I'm sorry?
no,
Hold on, let me write it. Counselor Miller?
Yes. I approve them.
Counselor Proctor?
Aye.
Counselor Naismith?
Aye.
Motion carried. And then for the February 26th minutes.
So Mayor, I move that for the February 26th minutes that we have them rewritten. There's a lot of errors and missing information, whole empty page. And so I move that we get them corrected before they come back to us for approval.
Specifically.
Yeah, yeah, we need to be specific.
Well,
A whole lot of errors doesn't get,
there's a whole page of stuff missing when Mr. Lewicki starts talking. It's just not there. And then what you've given to us in packets, page 30 is blank. It goes from 29 to 31 with blank. And so I watched the video and there's a lot missing.
Okay. Are those the ones for the public hearing?
I'm not sure why there was so much verbatim stuff in there, but it was the RV, it was a hearing. The RV thing was a hearing, wasn't it, John?
Yeah, it was a public hearing, and I went through it today.
And for the record.
I thought that everything that was said was in the,
I sat and listened to the whole 3 hours last night, and there's a big chunk of missing stuff, and I'd be happy to do it, to write it and give it to you.
So I'll have her redo the, so I'll have her redo.
do that or give them a heads up as to which parts you feel like are missing so they can address those.
It's right when Mr. Lewicki starts talking, or maybe not right when he talks. The part where he talked about the corrupt government is not in there.
And you can hear him.
Oh, yeah, on the YouTube
Some of
video.
them, she said she couldn't hear them.
Well, maybe she should watch the
I
video.
was sitting here and I heard him.
Yeah, she, puts her headphones on and watches.
She listens to the video, and I thought you also had a different audio.
This was not very, this is our backup.
I see. Yeah, it's really clear
well,
what he says.
Okay. Okay.
okay.
We have a,
Web page, I was looking at.
I know at one time what would happen if we had individuals that lost their temper and maybe said some things that that wasn't put in, but I guess, that's up to y'all. If you want to be sure that if you jump up and threaten to whip a citizen in the parking lot and this kind of thing, do you really want that on there or not?
But in this case, I
Sometime
would
we'll-
have to agree with Councilman Laceman. Is that because it was a hearing that is subject to the record is subject to going up to district court?
Yeah.
Is it
Okay.
all that needs to be in there verbatim?
Okay. And I don't think it was a problem.
she said most of the stuff she couldn't hear on there.
I heard a lot, and even on her minutes where it says inaudible, I heard it just good. So
I'll go in there and listen to them.
Yeah,
I'll try to put together a red letter edition.
that would be good.
Okay. Do we have a second?
No second that.
Counselor Proctor?
Aye.
Counselor Weaver?
Aye.
Counselor Lakeland?
Aye.
Counselor Miller?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Okay, under new business, we had already talked about removing item A, so that would take us to item B. Counselor Miller, would you help us out on new business? You've been doing a good job.
New business, item B, discussion and possible action on approval of submittal of the NMDFA grant application for law enforcement protection funds. DC, shoot.
Okay, Mayor, members of council, before you is a copy of the application certification for the Law Enforcement Protection Fund grant offered by the New Mexico DFA. We apply for this grant every year. This year, the amount is approximately $107,000 total dollars. It's 93,000 plus, 1,500 per officer on the department, which equals to, $107,000. Last year, during budget negotiations, the LEPF grant that was granted to us and put into our coffers actually paid for the 2 new police cars that are out there. Likely going to be the same thing to happen this year, depending on how good the budget process goes. But I just need approval from you all just to apply for the grant. And in order for me to apply, my chief has to sign, which he's already done. The mayor has to sign this form. And I need your approval to have the mayor sign this form so I can apply for this grant.
Yes.
This is 100% grant. There's no buy-in from the city.
No, it's 100% just for us, given to us every year.
And what's it for?
Law Enforcement Protection Fund. It's just a grant that the state gives out every year. We've been applying for it, receiving it. It's gradually getting bigger.
What can you spend it on?
Pretty much anything, but what we've always used it for is mostly equipment.
So we need that before 25 when we get all that other money?
Yes, there is a deadline on this application. I have to have it in by April 1st, so I need the form signed today because I haven't even started the application. I can't start the application without having this signed.
No, the only signature you need is then the mayor's
mayor's.
license. That right there.
I know. I still need your approval to apply for the grant though.
Can I have a motion?
I can't sign it till you guys say, sign it.
I second the
Judy asked if someone wanted to make
Want to
a
make a motion? Are you gonna make it?
Oh,
Okay,
you read it. I'm sorry. I was waiting. I make the motion
okay,
to adapt that.
a second.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Counselor Faber,
Aye.
Counselor Lakebaum,
Aye.
Counselor Proctor,
Aye.
Counselor Miller.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
DC, Mayor, the DC can go up and get that signed so we can get this in.
I'll do that right now.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Counselor Proctor is getting nervous about this. He won't.
He might be the one I have to be out in the parking lot with.
I don't want to go there with you. Any sergeant in the army, I'm not gonna cause a problem with them. Let's see, 3/25.
25.
25, 24.
Let Council Proctor see that I signed it.
I say it's signing.
Oh, I need the printed name and the title.
Oh, yeah.
Get that and get it
There are
done.
the details.
We have.
I haven't looked at it. If I do, then after the meeting.
Now we got it all, BC.
Thank you, sir.
You bet.
Does it need a bill? Let me see.
Okay, Councilor Miller, proceed.
We'll go on to the business D. Discussion and possible action on the appointment of Mayor Pro Tem Jude Miller to the Consolidated Joint Dispatch Board.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to say something about the item that's removed about appointment fire chief.
Mayor,
Well, I-
is that on finish? Are you gonna allow him to speak or?
All right, no, just a minute. Just a minute.
Sorry.
We got
We got a motion on
motion and a
the,
second.
in a second.
Okay,
So.
no, we can't address from the public then.
Yes, sir.
Counselor Lakebaum,
Aye.
Counselor Faber,
Aye.
Counselor Miller,
Aye.
Counselor Proctor.
Aye.
Motion carries. And now Mayor.
Councilor Miller.
No, it's,
No.
we're done.
We're done.
We're finished. The D.
I move to adjourn.
Oh, okay, good. Hey, you came up with another good idea. I like the way you think. Oh,
Mayor, are we adjourned?
We are adjourned.